Hello kids. Today I am going to tell you a story about the Rat Prince. Once upon a time, in a grand palace hidden deep in a forest, there was a small, furry kingdom ruled by a tiny rat prince. This prince wasn't like the other rats in the kingdom. He was born with a golden crown on his head, a gift from the royal wizard, who prophesied that he would one day bring peace to the kingdom. But being the smallest rat in the royal family was no easy task. His father, the king, was strong and wise, and his older brothers were brave and fast. Everyone expected the young prince to follow in their footsteps, but he was clumsy and often scared. He would rather read books and look out the palace window than race through the tunnels with his brothers. One day, a terrible storm swept through the kingdom, flooding the rat homes. The river had burst its banks, and many of the kingdom's rats were trapped in their homes, too afraid to leave. The king ordered all the rats to evacuate, but many refused, unsure of how to survive the floods. The young prince knew he had to help, even though he had no experience leading anyone. Gathering his courage, he remembered a story his grandmother had told him about a magical tunnel hidden beneath the palace that could lead to the farthest parts of the forest, where food and dry ground awaited. The prince decided to find this tunnel and save the kingdom. With a brave heart, he set off on his own adventure. He dodged falling branches, crossed slippery rocks, and squeezed through narrow spaces. As he ventured deeper, he met an old mole who lived beneath the ground. The mole, seeing the prince's determination, agreed to guide him to the hidden tunnel. But there was a catch. The mole asked the prince to solve a riddle. "What is the thing that's always ahead, but can never be seen?" asked the mole. The prince thought hard. He had read many books, but this was a tricky riddle. Then, with a spark of realization, he answered, "The future." The mole nodded in approval and led the prince to the magical tunnel. The prince used all his newfound courage to guide his people to safety, leading them through the secret passage to dry land. When they emerged, the storm had passed, and the kingdom was safe. The rats cheered, and the king proudly crowned the prince as the true heir to the throne. "You may be small," the king said, "but you have the heart of a giant." From that day on, the prince was no longer just the quiet, clumsy rat. He became known as the wise and brave ruler who saved the kingdom. And although he still loved to read and dream, the prince learned that sometimes the ultimate adventure is not in a book, but in taking a step forward when the world needs you most. And so, the Rat Prince lived happily ever after, leading his kingdom with kindness and courage. So kids, that's all for today. If you like our story, please press the bell icon. See you next time with another story.